So I've been using the Nikon 50mm S lens, okay, the f1.8. I'm using it on my Z7 here. So it's not too big, it's not too small. It's a good size. It's probably bigger than you'd expect for a 1.8 lens. It's also heavier than you'd expect. The construction, sort of plastic, but like good quality plastic. It's well finished. It's got a very, very smooth focusing ring. It's got a big ring that's for focus. So this one here is the focusing ring, and it's quite large. Yeah. So you might grab that by accident in your photography. So that's something to look out for. So it's reasonably sized. It's actually, I've got to be honest, I didn't really look at the lens count or anything like that, so I don't know if it's a complicated lens design. But judging by the weight of it, I would say it does have a fair bit of glass in it. The autofocus speed is nice. It's very swift. It's not blistering fast, but it's certainly fast enough for most scenarios. It's a very nice lens. How it could be improved is if it had a control wheel like the new 50mm f1.4. That would be nice. But I guess when they initially released, I believe there was about 3 or 4 lenses that Nikon released early on in the piece with the Z7 and the Z6. And I believe the 50mm was one of them, the 85, and I can't remember if it was a 35, a 24, or a 28. But anyway, I think there was a few of these S lenses that came out all together, or pretty close together. And this 50mm S lens was one of the first ones to come out. In saying that, just using it now quickly, it seems to be like, it's definitely a flagship sort of lens. It's very, very, very good quality. You can tell just when you're using it straight away that this lens is something special. This is something that's not run-of-the-mill. It's probably the best 50mm lens I've ever used. In fact, I would definitely say it's the best 50mm lens I've ever used. A lot of people rave about the Sony FE, the full frame 55mm Zeiss lens. That's also an f1.8. A lot of people say that's like stellar sharp and everything. Well, I've had that lens, and I can tell you this lens is definitely better. It's a fair bit better, not just a little bit better. It's a lot better. What we're talking about here is like contrast, fine detail, shadows, color rendition, all these things that come into play and make the lens really special. Now obviously Nikon have put in some special sauce into this lens. That's all I can say. It's particularly good. I've just been knocking around with it a little bit initially, but you know, like most things, probably especially with lenses, you can usually tell straight up whether they're going to be good with you or they're not going to be any good with you. And I can tell you right now, this lens is going to be very good for me, for all the reasons I just said. And the sharpness is just out of control. It's wow. Like, I bought this lens secondhand. I'll be honest, I was gonna go and get the 50mm 1.4 that's been released just recently. and I thought that would be the one to get. I've been waiting for that lens, the 1.4. Compact, it's not too big, it's fast, so you get nice bokeh. Yeah, it's really got all the features that I want, everything, down to a pat. But it's still quite pricey. You know, a lot of people say it's reasonable, but I don't think it's that reasonable, really. I think that 1.4 is priced where it should be. Now this one apparently is more expensive brand new. I can see why. I can definitely see why. Now I've watched a lot of videos on the two lenses together, and I can understand why people are saying this one's sharper than the 1.4, and the 1.4 has a certain quality about it in the bokeh. It's got the swirliness in the background, whereas this is more of a muddy, soft blur, the bokeh. I actually prefer the muddy, soft blur. Some people do like that sort of signature look, that swirly bokeh that you get with the 1.4 that we've all seen probably. If you haven't, look at some videos and you'll see it. But I've also looked at videos comparing the two where you can get files, and I did notice in the videos that this one was sharper. Now, that's not the reason I got it. I got it because it was cheaper. Straight up honest, I'll tell you now, it was probably about $250 to $300 Australian cheaper, second hand, very good condition, sort of minty almost, lens, compared to buying a brand new 50mm 1.4. Do I regret it? No, not at all. I can see what people are talking about when they talk about the insane sharpness of this lens. You could almost say it's too sharp for portrait photography, for taking photos of people. You're gonna see every little flaw in their face, but at the same time you're also gonna see, you know, crystal clear eyes and eyelashes and other wonderful things that, you know, you'll probably want if you're like me. It's always possible to blur up an image. Sorry about that, there's a plane going overhead. I'm sitting in my car and yeah, I'm under the flight path. Anyway, it's easy to blur an image, or not blur it, but soften it. There's a number of different ways you can do it. That's easy. You can always go backwards, but you can't create sharpness from nothing. If the sharpness isn't there in the beginning, you're never going to have it. It's as simple as that. Or if you do get it, it's going to be that harsh, jaggedy sharpness that looks very sort of fabricated to me and not real. So that's not what I want. This lens is particularly good. This lens is it. And yeah, if you're thinking about it, if you're thinking about whether this lens is worth it, because I know it's not cheap. Even my one wasn't cheap. It's still not cheap. It's way more expensive than I've ever paid for a 50mm 1.8. But I can tell you, yeah, it's good. It's good. Go get it and you will be blown away. And actually the loss in light that this doesn't get, the what do we got, 1.8 to 1.4, it's not a lot. That's not a stop of light. That's a fraction of a stop, and like 1.8 is pretty fast. It's good enough if you've got other qualities to go with it, like this lens has. So yeah, I would have liked it if they had this sharpness on the 1.4, then I think I would be hard pressed buying this one, but they don't. They obviously dumbed it down. just a tad, just to justify this one and keep everybody happy who's already bought this one, I guess. But it does create a bit of a weird market for Nikon. You've got their 1.2 uber expensive lens, you've got their 1.4 50, which is I think now the cheapest Z lens, 50mm, and then you've got this lens which is priced above, just above the 1.4, and it's got, you know, the S branding, which is meant to be special, I guess. So yeah, you know, it's got other things, I believe, like dust proofing and water resistance and you know, things like that sort of make it a bit more of a pro grade lens. Yeah, so those things are good to have on a lens, you know, if you're caught in a shower storm or something and you want to keep taking photos. It's nice to know that there's no water ingress into your equipment. I'm not sure if the 51.4 does have the water resistance. I don't think it does, because they seem to be putting that as one of the differentiating factors. So anyway, I've been raving on way too long, and I'm sorry about that, but yeah, very, very happy with my purchase. And if you're thinking of getting this lens, if you can get one second hand in good condition, I would grab it. You're probably going to save some good bucks. If you're thinking of getting one brand new and you're tossing up between the 1.4 and the 1.8, ooh, tough call. I'd be watching all the videos and doing as much research as possible, because wow, honestly, I think I may have been disappointed if I got the 1.4. But anyway, I've got the 1.8 now, and I'm very, very, very happy with it. And yeah, onwards and upwards. Catch you guys later. Bye.